There used to be a very lively debate in this country some years back about whether or not the government should use taxpayers' money to subsidise the arts. And it isn't a topic that comes up very much nowadays, but it can be a fascinating topic from the point of view of the economist. And the first lesson I want to give you is that it's probably not a good idea to obsess about this topic. What are we talking about? We're talking about taxpayers' money being used to fund museums, art galleries, theatres. And as a percentage of total government spending, the subsidy that goes to the arts is actually very small. You could say, yes, this money could be better spent on the National Health Service or improving the roads or anything like that. But remember, relatively speaking, it's a very small amount of money. If the money was spent elsewhere, it would make very little difference. I'm not saying it would make no difference, but very little difference. The next point I want to make is that in the past, the objections to the state funding the arts has often been revolving around the fact that some of that money is spent on things which we might not really approve of. For example, art installations involving dead sheep. And you might think, who in their right mind is going to pay good money to go and see an art installation involving a dead sheep? Well, maybe some people. But is it really what we should be using taxpayers' money for? Arguments that have been used in favour of taxpayers' money to support the arts have been quite poor arguments, really. So here is one. It is a vast industry. This is somebody writing in the Evening Standard, if I remember rightly, a very influential newspaper in this country. It is a vast industry. It needs to be stoked with public funds. Why? Lots of industries are vast. The grocery industry is vast. Does the grocery industry need public money? No. Merely being vast does not mean that something needs public money. And another argument was that it has spin-off benefits. For example, when people go to the theatre, they'll then spend money often in bars or restaurants nearby. So there's a spin-off benefit to the surrounding businesses. That's true maybe not any business, but lots of businesses can be seen to have a spin-off benefit. There might be a spin-off benefit to a casino. If people go to a casino, they might also then spend money in restaurants or bars nearby. But does that mean that the state should fund casinos? So, vast industry, spin-off benefits, these are not good arguments in themselves for public money. Another argument I've heard over the years is that the arts are more popular than football. That the number of people who go to museums and art galleries and the theatre each year is greater than the number of people who go to football. And that might be true. But there seems to be a kind of paradox here, and this has been pointed out before, that we're supposed to believe on the one hand that the arts are very, very popular, and not just with an elite of a few rich people, but with ordinary people generally. But on the other hand, the arts is an industry which, if it did not receive lots of taxpayers' money, would somehow collapse. It's hard to square that circle. Does that make sense? Can you square a circle? Maybe not. On the one hand, it's easy to envisage a provincial museum or art gallery not getting a huge number of visitors, and those visitors perhaps including a large number of students who wouldn't want to pay because they're impoverished students. And it's easy to say, well, if we charge people money to go to that art museum, then it will close down. As an aside, the British government in the 1970s, early 70s, did actually try charging people to visit museums and art galleries. It didn't last long. it was basically a policy that was more trouble than it's worth. But what about the theatre? When lots and lots of people go to theatre, do we really need taxpayers' money going to the theatre? Why can't the theatre be something that funds itself out of ticket sales? Because let's face it, people who go to the theatre do buy tickets, they do pay for them. So surely the theatre could be an industry that supports itself with that taxpayers' money. But then again, maybe not all theatre productions are equally popular or equally commercially successful, and if we took away the government funding, then maybe all the theatre companies will only go for safe productions like Shakespeare, like Oscar Wilde, things that they know are going to be popular, they know are going to sell well, and new playwrights will tend to be ignored. Is that something we want? So there is perhaps a case to be made for taxpayers' money being used to support the arts, but the arguments which are commonly used are frequently not good arguments. We should not say vast industry, spin-off benefits, etc. Those things are just silly.